Hey guys, we are here with Jake Lewis, who just finished first place in a Mega Tin Keys tourney. 64 people, pretty big, good turnout. And so yeah, sorry for the loud background noise, but what deck were you playing?
We were playing Mathmech today.
Oh my goodness, how do you feel about that in the today's meta current format?
It's pretty good. It's not a tier 1 deck, but it's in a tier 1.5 to 2. It matches up really well into Sprite. Tier's a bit harder, but it's a very strong rogue deck, so it plays a lot of hand traps and a very strong one-card engine starter.
Awesome. Anything you want to say before we start?
Shout out to 4-1 Games, shout out to my data, and shout out to this case, baby.
Let's go, baby. All right, let's go.
Alright, so first thing we have is we have our 8 copies of Circular. We have the 3 Circular themselves, 3-sided mining, 2 Small World.
Okay.
Some people like to play 3 Small World. I like 2 because Small World's a bit more bricky than sided mining is. Circular is the heart and soul of the deck, and 1-card combos into anything you want. I'm on a Heat Soul build, so that we're aiming for a Heat Soul end board with an Aliburtion or a Super Factorial set up, and this card helps us get started with everything we want to do. Next up, we have the card that pairs with Circular. We have the 2 Sigma. Free summon from grave every single turn if you're using it to make an XYZ. Otherwise, just 1 card helps you go into your XYZ in the first place and gets banished later on. Free Mathmech Diameter. It's our Monster Reborn. Particularly useful because it gives us the negate on our XYZ when we make it, either hard making it off the summon or off the Super Factorial. Helps us play through a lot and is an important interruption for our opponent's turn.
So when your opponent DD crows the diameter when you activate Super Factorial, how much does that actually hurt?
It's a pretty big pain in the ass. You do still have to resolve Super Factorial, so you're making Aliburtion with 2 without the negate. Does still help you with follow-up, but it is a bit of a pain and a loss to lose the negate. A lot of the times, if I can, I'll try and make an IP and use that to go into Appaloosa before I activate Super Factorial, specifically to protect from DD Crow or Bell.
Right.
After that, we have the general suite of extenders. We're playing 2 Subtraction, 2 Addition, 3 Exceed.
Okay.
A lot of decks are playing 3 Addition, 3 Subtraction. I was for a while. In the Heat Soul focus builds, we like to run Parallel Exceed as well. It helps us combo with Small World as a general bridge between all of our plays. This also pairs with any hand trap into Solomon Great Almirage, so let's go to Heat Soul again.
So, in terms of the Exceed, is that common? I'm not sure if I...
It's seen in about half of the decks.
Okay.
Basically, the Heat Soul focused decks are going to play it. The ones that aren't focused about Heat Soul, they're not going to play it. Largely, again, because this combos well with the hand trap into Almirage as your backup play. A lot of the decks will play 3 Addition, 3 Subtraction.
Okay.
At the end of the day, they're just free bodies. It's useful to have them. It makes it easier to have your Super Factorial be live. But when you're on the Exceed, you don't need the extra bodies. You'd rather play the additional interruptions, hand traps, Call by the Grave, that kind of card.
And does the rank 4 stuff come up at all, or no, the level 4 effect of Exceed?
It can come up. I know some builds will play like a summon limit or a D barrier. I don't think it's very good. What's more useful is occasionally in the tier matchup, you have the 3 effective Aliburtion, which you use to search a Skullmeister to stop the first tier effect from happening.
Okay.
We have the general extender Mathmech Equation, 1 surge off Circular. I don't love it, but it does come up from time to time, particularly in the grind state. We're playing 1 each of the Super Factorials and the Induction. Super Factorial, a lot of people like it at 2, particularly in Desired builds like I'm playing. I say have a pair, play 1, you don't need the second one unless you're on a second lap lazy, even then it's iffy. 1's enough, you're going to win the game if you're resolving this anyway. Other card is Induction. If you don't know what this does, you have to flip it before you resolve it, but it gives all of your Cybers 500 by default. If you have a Mathmech on field, you quick effect send it to the graveyard, pop any 1 card that's face up on the field. It's your in-archetypal searchable Mystic Mine out, and it destroys the Sprite matchup on top of that.
Yep, that definitely happened to me.
If you're setting up Induction, Super Factorial, you're winning the game, unless they have a blowout or something crazy like that.
Right.
Then we're playing the 14 Hand Trap Suite, 3 Ash, 3 Nibiru, card was insane today, 3 Imperm, 3 DD Crow, 2 Valor. Nibiru and Valor are very important Small World bridges. They both connect from most cards into your Circular. Crow is critical for the tier matchup, which is the worst matchup for the deck. Ash and Imperm speak for themselves. Imperm is the best hand trap in the format. And that's one of the advantages of this deck over most others. Because you're so concentrated on your 1-card conduit and everything gets you into Circular, you can run a heavy concentration of hand traps and win the game based on the back of your engine plus the hand trap backing you up.
Any other hand traps you would consider, like Ogre or...
I don't like Ogre. I do have a couple more hand traps on the side that I'll bring in based on the matchup.
Okay.
Some decks will run Gamma. I don't think it's really worth the slot. It's a little bit too risky to have it dead in the hand with this deck in particular. Nibiru's crazy. You need to be main decking it, particularly for tier decks, which are your biggest weakness in this deck. Okay. Last 3 slots, 3 power spells, Call by Desires. Amazing card, gotta play it. Says draw 2, gotta play it. 9 times out of 10, you already have your superfactorial after your combo, so this is just a free plus.
Right.
Other times it gets you going and you just take the risk because you gotta play it to draw 2. It specifically won me the 6-round game against Tier Elements today, drawing me into the one last name to normal summon, which allowed me to OTK past Sedona World Goddess when I might have lost otherwise. Card's incredible, gotta play it. That's our 40 card main deck right there.
Awesome, awesome. Guess we'll move to the extra.
In the extra deck, we are playing 2 Alan Bershin, 1 Laplacian. Alan Bershin is your main extra deck starter, extender, flexible, everything about it. Your 2 effects searches you out of your Mathmech cards. Most of the time it's going to be a Mathmech Diameter for your normal summon, extended, or reborn. Sometimes it'll be your circular to get you started. Sometimes it'll be your superfactorial if your circular got stopped. Sometimes it'll be an equation for extension or an addition or subtraction. It's hyper flexible. The 3 effects is what we use to search Skullmeister in the tier matchup, and the 4 effect again can go into some kind of floodgate. Laplacian is your main board breaker and a big piece of interruption on your opponent's turn. You summon off a superfactorial and it's crazy. It's like a Trishula on legs. You're ripping up to 3 cards, 1 from the hand, 1 from the monster zone, 1 from the spell trap zone, and you get the conditional negate off it from the diameter that's been used to make it. Card's insane. Other thing people don't really know about it is it has a substitution protection effect. So if somebody activates a Harpy's Feather Duster on you, you can go Induction 1, Superfactorial 2, make Laplacian, and on resolution of Feather Duster, detach 1 from Laplacian to protect the induction from being destroyed. Wow. Very unusual effect that doesn't come up very often. It's like a Balinx, and people don't really know about it very much.
Right.
So I know we're also repping the Stay Classy Field Centers. They're amazing quality.
I have one too, it's amazing.
Next one, we have the Link 1s. Almirage, Lingaribo.
Right.
Both very strong, both ways of triggering your Parallel Exceed. Almirage combos especially well with that. It also helps you set up Link materials if you want to go into an Unravel Cybers play or get more attributes in Graveyard for an Axis Code. Link's crazy for any back row deck, very useful for tier as well. The negate and banish of any trap, very, very powerful effect. We have the Link 2s. We're playing Update Jammer, 2 Splash Mage, Cybers Wicked, and IP Masquerena. Masquerena and IP are normally part of the main combo if you're on the Disciple Devotee combo. Here, it's not so easy to make them, but they are still useful for your general advantage engine in a grind game, or Masquerena for an interruption to go into an Apollosa, for example. Update Jammer is part of your OTK combo. We're playing 2 Splash Mage because it's a prime bait for any kind of Veiler or Imperm, and you generally want to, 1 for your first turn play, 1 for your grind game, mid-game extension to the OTK line. Very useful card. We have our 2 Link 3s, Transcode Talker and Decode Talker Heat Soul. Transcode is your primary Link climber into Axis Code. You all know the combo. Heat Soul is the main focus of this deck, and it goes off really well when you're playing a heavy concentration of hand traps. Draws you basically Pot of Greed every your turn and your opponent's turn, and it's an incredible backup line if your main combo gets interrupted. Any amount of hand traps that you can draw off of it just help you win the game that much easier. Very useful card. We're playing 2 Link 4s, Apollosa and Axis Code. Apollosa is our IP Masquerena target of choice. You can also play Avermax, Unicorn, you can even play multiple concentrations of those, but it especially helps protect your Superfactorial and does a lot of work negating things like Tier Element cards.
Right.
Axis Code OTKs. Simple as that, paired with Update Jammer. Wins you games, it's your main line to OTK with. Final card I brought today was the Rival Cyber Set Ignister. This could have been an Avermax, could have been a Unicorn. I brought this today specifically for the Flunderies matchup, because it's very, very hard for them to deal with this card. They almost have no outs, unless they're doing some very, very contrived things and you have no other interruption. Some decks can't deal with this. Circular 1-card combos into it at 3,000. It's just useful to have, even though it doesn't always come up, or very often come up at all. Flunder's a bitch, and this is a Silver Bullet.
Do you normally make it any higher than 3,000, or that's as high as it can go with this deck?
You can make 4,000 with a couple extenders. There is ways to get it to 5, but the whole point of it is to be able to 1-card combo with Circular to get it into 3,000.
Okay.
1 card we're not playing today is Final Sigma, which can be Rival Cybers. I don't like playing the multiplication. I find it very difficult to get its effect to resolve quickly, even though it can help with the Axis Code OTK. And Navla's too much of a brick, so I don't play the card today.
Okay. On to
Finally, we have the side deck. We're playing 3 additional hand traps, 2 Bell,
Okay.
1 Meister. Bell's useful for a variety of matchups. It came up crazy today in this matchup against Sky Striker. Also extremely useful for protecting against Call by the Grave and Deity Crow, protecting your Superfactorial. Meister we bring in the tier match particularly, again because we can search that off of Alan Bershin if we have any extra bodies, as well as being a generically useful 3rd graveyard hate. These also all come in against the Eldritch match if we run into that.
Okay.
We have the back row hate next. 3 Cosmic Cyclone, 3 Arby's Feather Duster, 1 red reboot. Self-explanatory. We're siding out the Veilers and the Imperms and the Nibiros into back row matchups. That's 8 cards coming out, 8 cards going in, lines up nicely.
That's great.
Other generic going second card came in a lot today and was very strong in one matchup, Papertops.
Okay.
Just useful coming in against Sprite today. It clears boards quite easily. Finally, we have the going first cards. We're playing 3 Appointer, 3 Rivalry. We're almost exclusively a Cybers deck. Rivalry dunks on tier elements, which is a huge matchup issue for us. We want this card to be able to clutch against that matchup. And Appointer is just generically useful. Hand information is incredible. Ripping one card is useful for knowing what you have to play around, and it just helps you win games when you're going first, and take out hand traps for it. Simple as that. 40 cards in the main, 15 inside, 15 extra. Mathmechs are great.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jake. Anything else you want to say?
Happy to win the first case today.
Exactly.
Days and time.
Congrats again on an undefeated run. Yeah, thank you.
Take care.